This is Paris, the biggest city in France, known for its vibrant food, culture, history, architecture, and so much more. And for the next couple of days, I, an American, will be staying here for the first time. Will Paris be very similar or very different to the cities in America? To answer that question, I will go to many different places during this video, try many different foods, and study the people that call Paris their home. Hopefully meet a lot of cool people. And with that being said, sit back, relax, let's make it happen. That brings us to our first stop today, which is the Louvre. And the most impressive thing about it for me, besides the sheer size and impressive art gallery, is that it is home to the Mona Lisa, which is arguably the most famous painting in the entire world. So let's continue. I made my way through the labyrinth of art galleries, and they were all stunning and unique. Each gallery had their own theme and were full of many artistic masterpieces from across the entire world. So over here, there's many different cool art pieces all over Africa, which is a huge continent. Everyone's all the way upstairs. No one's even down here, which is a good thing. I can show you all clearly what exactly is here. Yeah, there's so many cool different types of art. Just like this. So
your name, Dum Dum.
The museum has certainly grown a lot more from its original 537 exhibitions that were originally here. Now there's a ton of different paintings and sculptures right here in the museum. It's really cool. I've been to other art museums before in the US, like the MFA in Boston and Met in New York City, and they each have various similarities and differences for sure. This museum is massive and would span the length of many New York City blocks easily. It's unlike any other museum I've ever seen. I've seen quite a lot. There's so many different art pieces like paintings, sculptures, and so on from different periods of time. It's super cool. Walking the Louvre made me build up an appetite, so I decided to get one of France's most iconic desserts. So right here we have a box of baguette macaroons. We have 6 of them. We have all different types of flavors, so I'm incredibly excited to see what they have to offer. So let's try the different flavors we got. First up, we have the classic, just plain vanilla. I really love vanilla flavored things, and I really love vanilla itself. So let's see how it tastes. That's pretty good. I really like it, very unique. I really enjoy this. Alright, so next up we have a very unique name. This is called the Maria Antoinette tea flavor. It's a very unique choice. Let's give it a try. That's a very unique flavor. I actually really like this one. Even though it tastes like tea, it's a very subtle tea flavor and it's not overpowering at all. And also, if you guys are wondering why I'm taking such small bites, these are my family, so I'm not trying to eat them all in one bite. So next up we have chocolate. Let's see. If you like chocolate, this one you will really enjoy. It's a very rich chocolatey flavor. It doesn't taste artificial at all. In the United States, there's a lot of different chocolate flavored things that taste very artificial, but this doesn't at all. You can tell it's real chocolate. Before we move on to our next flavors, it's time for a palate cleanse. And I think what better than these drinks that we got from Baguette. So first up, we have nectar framboise nectar.
Raspberry, this is raspberry.
Oh, okay, let's give it a try. It's not bad at all, actually. It's very tart. You can tell that it's fresh and not artificial at all, which I think is the most important part. So I like it. Alright, so next up, we have apricot. So let's give it a try. I've never really had apricot like that before. It's a very unique flavor. It's also a little bit tart, but not as strong as the raspberry, of course. But I like it. I think both of them are very good in their own way. Let's move on to our next few items. Next up, we have salted caramel. Give it a try. Let's see how it tastes. This one's really good. It has a very unique, strong, toffee flavor. I really enjoy this one. So next up, we have an exotic flavor. This is passion fruit. So let's give it a try. It has a very subtle passion fruit flavor, but it's not overpowering at all. I enjoy it. It's very fruity, yet it's sweet. It's not overpowering, which I thoroughly enjoy. And for our final macaroon of the 6, we have pistachio. Let's give it a try. I really like this one also. It's very good. I think all these macaroons were really good in their own way. I like them all. I don't think there was a single bad one. I don't think you can go wrong with choosing any of these. I'd like to take a quick moment to outline the architecture that is in Paris. As you can tell, Paris is known for its beautiful architecture all across the city. It's incredibly stunning and beautiful how these buildings are not only designed, but symmetrical and geometrical in its style. You don't really see that back home. Of course, you have grid-like patterns in New York City, but it's not really the same in this case. What's interesting about Paris is back in the 19th and 20th centuries, it underwent a major renovation and rejuvenation by Eugene Haussmann, and it was commissioned by French Emperor Napoleon III. In a way, it's somewhat relatively new. And the city, like most European cities, is incredibly walkable. That's something that you don't really really get much back in the United States. Cities are walkable, but not to this extent. So it's incredibly cool. I really like the architecture. There's a unique vibe to Paris, which is so cool. Day 2. So I kicked off my second day bright and early, and I went all the way to Versailles. Right behind me is Versailles Palace, and that's one of our cool locations that we're going to be checking out today. To my left is Versailles Palace. It's incredibly beautiful. It was built in 1631, and it's incredibly historic and old, but as you can tell, it's very well kept and beautiful. It's my first time here, obviously, and let's see what it has to offer. Similar to the Louvre, Versailles has many different paintings and sculptures throughout the whole palace. But the main point here is this simply isn't just a museum. It was a residence at one point in time. Most famously, it was the residence of Louis XIV and his wife, Marie Antoinette. For those of you who may not know who those two are, they're very important to French history, particularly important during the French Revolution. Apart from that, the palace is very beautiful. I was shocked to see that they had their own chapel within the palace itself. It's very beautiful, and it's very expansive too. As you can see, there's these chandeliers, but before there were chandeliers, there were these candle holders that you can see where they would put the candles up there, so it's super cool. And with that being said, it's time for breakfast, and I know just the place to go. Let's make it happen. All right, so next up, we're gonna be trying one of the coolest bakeries right here in Paris, which is Beau and Me Bakery. Now, as you can tell from this huge box, I ordered a lot of pastries, and we're gonna be trying all of them. So let's dive right in. First up, Beau and Me's is known for their croissants. They have a whole array of croissants right in their restaurant. And right here, this is their raspberry filled croissant. This thing is huge, and it's really soft too. So let's give it a try. This croissant is one of the best croissants I've ever had, which is expected from Paris. It's incredibly fluffy, light, airy, and tasty. The raspberry inside is very fresh, and it obviously tastes like it came from fresh raspberries. In the United States, you can certainly get desserts that are similar to this, but sometimes they have a very inorganic and artificial taste to them, which really isn't that good compared to this. It's really good. So next up, we have this really cool cookie dessert. Let's give it a try. It's very interesting. It's very nutty, and it has a little bit of a bitter taste. There's different layers to it, as you can see here. It was very rich. Let's do a palate cleanse. Next up, we have this really cool dessert. Let's give it a try. Oh man, I'll tell you what, if you like sour and sweet things, and if you're a very big fan of citrusy fruits, this is really for you. I like it, I just think it's a bit sour. Next up, we have this fruit tart, so let's give it a try. I really like this one. Besides the croissant, this one's probably my favorite. It's so good. It tastes very fresh, refreshing. The cream is really good. The tart itself is incredibly rich, and the strawberries are very fresh. I love this one. This one's my favorite, obviously, besides the croissant. All right, so next up, we have Rocher. Let's give it a try. That's not as chocolatey as I thought it was going to be. It's a different type of chocolate. It's not too overpowering, which I thoroughly enjoy, but that's the best way I can describe it because I have no idea the exact chocolate they use. It's not as bitter as dark chocolate, but it's not as sweet as milk chocolate either. And from the final pastry at Beau Me's, this is the chocolate eclair. So let's give it a try. This is filled with chocolate, and again, it is not overpowering at all. In terms of pastries, I think Beau Me's is really incredible. If you get a chance, you should certainly go and try for yourself to see how you enjoy it. Next up, we have one of the most unique and most fun attractions, not only in France, but all of Europe, which is Disneyland Paris. I've been to both Disney parks back in the US, and I've never been to the one in Tokyo, so this was a great addition. My detailed trip to Disney will be a whole separate video due to the insane amount of things I did there, which you can watch here once I upload it. But I will say this, the amusement park rides at the Disney are literally insane. I almost flew off the runaway train due to the speed we were going, and the rest of the rides were just awesome. Just like any other Disney park, you're gonna be waiting in line. I also found the size of the park and rides to be comparable to the ones back home. The castle in Disney World is still the largest, but I thought this castle was very cool. I do wish the main strip had more spots to eat, but otherwise it was very cool. I thoroughly enjoyed this Disneyland and had an amazing time. To start off this third day, my final day right here in Paris. For those of you who are confused right now why I'm wearing this costume, I thought it'd be a good idea. Plus, I'm saving it for later. And of course, this is before I go to the Eiffel Tower later on today. I thought before I go to the Eiffel Tower, it'd be a good idea to speak to you guys and talk to you about some things that you really won't get to see. So number one, I'd like to talk about the people of Paris that I've met so far. For the most part, a lot of them are really unique in the way that they carry themselves. There's a sort of sophistication, some of the people, which is super cool. And they seem to be pretty genuine. One of my Uber drivers that I didn't
get to film was a really nice guy. He talked to us about the city, the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower, and so on. Really nice guy. And a lot of people, they seem to just be normal people carrying on with their life. It's a totally different world. And of course, for those of you at home, especially those of you who've never been to Paris, the movies and the TV shows don't really do it justice. It's completely different. Of course, coming to Paris, you don't have to speak French, but it would be helpful as well. For instance, things like thank you, it would be merci, or you could say merci beaucoup, which is thank you very much. And little things like that, you'll bring a smile to some of the native French people's face. Another slice of life thing I'd like to talk about, a lot of the drinks that have caps on them, over here in the US, you would just take the cap off and it can't attach, you just screw it back on. In France, you would take the cap off and it attaches directly to the bottle, which I personally think is super cool. I know I've seen some mixed opinions on it. If there's any French people watching or other Europeans watching that has that and you have an opinion about it, let me know down below. But for the most part, guys, I'm really enjoying myself in Paris. It's super nice. I think it's a very lovely city. There's a lot of beautiful... Heck. If you get a chance to come to Paris, I recommend it. It's so unique and so cool. So, with that being said, I want this to be something simple. Let's move on to our final attraction for the day. Let's make it happen.
And with that being said, now it is time for probably the most iconic and most visited tourist attraction in all of Paris, let alone in France, which is the Eiffel Tower. And I'm going there in style. Why, you may ask? Actually, I don't really know why. Anyways, after 3 days, I finally made it to the Eiffel Tower. I walked around in my Spider-Man costume and I got to see a lot of cool people along the way too. Some of the police officers even wanted to take a photo of me. That's what I did. I tried to get a little bit closer to finally pay off the culmination of this entire journey. And I finally made it.
Huh?
Spanish, English?
Oh, English.
Yeah, I got stopped by security. Turns out there was a British guy who tried to climb the Eiffel Tower the same day.
There's a dude climbing the Eiffel Tower. I don't think he's wearing a shirt.
Yeah, thank you, man. Regardless, I still saw the Eiffel Tower, so check this out.
Right behind me, we have the Eiffel Tower, which is arguably France's most important landmark and iconic landmark. Incredibly beautiful and cool up close. Incredibly in awe, I think is the proper word. I'm totally not here because I'm going to climb it, but what I am here to do is show you all the Eiffel Tower. It's my first time seeing it, so I'm so incredibly thrilled. I think Paris is a very beautiful city and it's very unique. And it's a lot of cool architecture, people, and food. I got to experience a little bit of that today. So with that being said, that comes to the conclusion to today's video. If you all enjoyed and liked it, make sure to like and subscribe. And check out some of my other videos that are coming out because I have a lot more cool content that's coming and it's underway. That's Paris, everyone. Take care.